Men, in today's episode of this really should only take 10 minutes, I am going to take you through how you can always plan extremely effective training sessions. My promise to you, if you give this video your full attention, you will be equipped with some concepts in the back of your mind, and eventually those concepts will be in your DNA, to be able to plan and execute extremely effective training sessions. Why is this important? Why do you think that's important? It ensures that you will spend as little time in the gym as possible and get maximum results from your gym sessions. Who the hell am I and why you should listen? My name is Paul Green and I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. I have specialised as a physical training instructor for most of my time in the past decade. I have trained individuals to be extremely fit, and I've also trained many other individuals to be more resilient soldiers so that they are injured a lot less. Hopefully my words add a little bit more weight than your typical online lunatic. Right, let's get straight into it. So the plan for this video, I'm going to take you through 7 concepts, why you should be doing them and why they work. An example session to bring them concepts to life. Summary, done. Sound alright? Of course it does. Who doesn't want to know how to make their training sessions more productive? Concept number 1. The most important thing with physical training is that you are training safely. But that's not enough. You must be able to add load to the exercises in which you do safely. What I mean by this is the more load you add incrementally over time, that shouldn't cause any risk to your body whatsoever. For example, an exercise which doesn't do this ideally, if the squat rack isn't best set up to accommodate this. If you were to add certain amount of load on a squat and you didn't have an appropriate squat rack to ensure that you were safe, then it would create a risk element and a risk of injury element to that exercise. That would not fit into an exercise in which you can safely add load. Now, if you were doing squats in a rack which had, what are they called? Safety bars, to ensure that if you couldn't get back up on your 6th or 7th rep or whatever, the bar would just drop onto the safety bars and you would be safe. That would be an example of a solution. Hope you understand that. I'm not going to labour on this too much. Concept number 2, start big and finish small. What I mean by this is start with bigger muscles and finish as you go on exercise by exercise. Look to finish with smaller muscles. The reason being is your central nervous system plays an important role in ensuring that your muscles can contract optimally. If you were to waste your heightened CNS at the start of your sessions on smaller exercises, the bigger exercises are going to be performed to a low standard. So it's important that when you are fresh, you start with the big muscle groups, and then as the session progresses, you then go on to smaller muscle groups. Concept number 3, primary focus is on the targeted muscles. Now, you're probably thinking, well, no shit, Sherlock. Let's say you're doing a bent over row, barbell bent over row, and you're repping out, let's say, somewhere close to your body weight, row. What is the first muscle to get fatigued in that scenario? The reason I'm using this example is because it's usually not your back muscles. That is the first muscle to go. It's usually your grip. Most of your training needs to be filled, or all of your training needs to be filled when your exercises primary focus on the muscles that you're targeting. And again, like I've just said there, The muscles in which you are targeting should be the muscles which get fatigued first in a working set. So, how do you solve this? If your grip's getting absolutely fried when you're doing bent over rows or deadlifts or pull-ups or various resistance machines, then clearly that exercise is not having the intended effect on your body. You want it to work your back muscles, you want it to work your big muscles. However, your smaller muscles are getting more of the stress. What do? You will then account for that with using grip straps and stuff like that to ensure that your grip doesn't get overworked and you can actually focus on the big muscles in which you were required to do. Unless, however, you were training grip in them scenarios, which if you were, then you wouldn't do bent over rows, you'd do some other exercise. Hopefully you understand that one. I'm going to move straight on. Concept number 4. The exercises in which you do, unless they are warm-up exercises, must allow an intensity of 80% every working set. 80% is a minimum. We can go a little bit higher than that. But the reason I'm saying this is if you're doing a plank for 30 seconds, are you doing 80% effort? Or is it about when you get good at a plank, you improve your muscular endurance, you improve your core strength, whatever you want to call it. 30-second plank may not be 80% effort. But does it allow 80% effort? Well, yes, if you were to do a weighted plank, then we start to get the desired optimal intensity of a working set. The exercises which you do must allow you to train at the required intensity to get the desired training effect. Concept number 5, having a basic awareness of range of motion. Remember, your muscles move the joints. That is their job. Obviously, you've got certain muscles which stabilise the joint or assist in the stability of the joint, but most muscles in your body move the joints that are around them. So having an awareness of the range of motion that that joint does and how to fully work that joint through a full range of motion will serve you better in working the muscles through their full length. Hopefully you understand that. Not going to go into how all the joints work. If you want to see that, then let us know. I'll probably do a video on that separately. And an awareness of muscle contractions. 3 muscle contractions. One is called concentric. That is the shortening of the muscle fibers. Another one is called isometric. That is when the muscle is contracted but it stays at the same length. The third muscle contraction out of them 3 is eccentric. Eccentric is the controlled lengthening of the muscle fibers. Your sessions, if you want to optimize your sessions, your sessions should contain all 3 of them muscle contractions. And a little bonus nugget for you. The goal is to break down the muscles in order to facilitate growth and repair and then growth. Get stronger. Blah, 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 blah. For your awareness, eccentric loading or the controlled lengthening of your muscle fibers damages your muscle more than concentric. A basic understanding of the direction of the muscle fibers. This is important because the muscle fibers show which path your exercises must take in order to work that muscle optimally. If you work the muscle optimally, you work the joint optimally. Do you understand? This is the easy solution to this. If you're not really feeling an exercise and you're doing an exercise and you're looking at your elbow position and stuff like that and you're like, I'm not really feeling this very well, I'm not really getting a nice squeeze, just click up on your phone, Google, what are the muscle fibers of the lats? What direction do they go? You'll get a picture of a crazy skeleton and you'll see the direction of the fibers. And all you need to do is make sure that you are pulling in that direction. Hopefully you understand. Concept number 7. So, an example session of this exercise is bring it to life. Straight away we've got muscle and motion, and we have got the pec deck machine, lengthening of the fibres, as you can see, and then a shortening of the fibres, a big squeeze in the middle to make sure it's getting short. Happy days. That's why we start with pec fly over your bench press. Your bench press doesn't work the shortening of the chest, it just works the lengthening. The dumbbells, same detail. The next one, we've got incline bench. Just to highlight the point, the animation actually shows the chest fibres getting a little bit shorter there. But anyway, the humerus doesn't cross the centre line. Chest muscles are attached to the sternum and attached to the humerus. If we do that, shortening of the chest. As you can see, it's only working the outside of the chest at a lengthened position. I know that was bench, but it's exactly the same for dumbbells. Negative dips. Get up into the top position and really slowly, eccentrically load them chest fibres. Eccentrically loading means what? Controlled lengthening of the muscle fibres. You're then going to jump up into the extended position. Lower yourself negatively. Happy days. And the next one, I'm going to go full screen for this so you can see what's going on. As you can see, he's underneath the safety bar pushing friggin' hard, right? You can see his hands there, and it's underneath the safety bar. And he is adopting a nice bench press position, but it's called overcoming isometrics. He can never push through that metal bar, but he's giving it maximum intensity, and you would do this for a set period of time. I recommend about 15 seconds maximum. And then you've got some absolute lunatic who's going on about how to do cable cross flies, but he's not even doing them very well. So like I said earlier on, right, the chest is attached to the sternum. So his goal should be to get the humerus bone, which is your upper arm, as far across. He can get it. I'm looking at that, right? And yes, he's a bit of a meathead. You know, he'd probably knock me out. I'm only joking. I'm a fucking purple belt. He could get a little bit further across with his elbow position. If he was being ruthlessly critical with his techers, he could get his arm right across there, right across, and do that to yourself now. Have a feel. However, he's not. He's not. So that's why I'm saying, like, this exercise again, it shows the movement. He could focus single arm, and you have the cable across, and you're really shortening. You want your humerus, the top of your humerus, to go as far over here as possible. Anyway, so there's the chest session, which I believe to be fairly close to the gold standard, given all the concepts, which are on the next slide, like you've just seen. Just move my face out of the way. So print screen this. And I'll remind you, safe loadability, so increasing the weight safely, is priority number one. Then you're going to start big, finish small with your exercise selection. You are going to primarily focus on the target muscles, and make sure the exercise that you do, the muscles that are tiring out first, they better be the muscles that you are actually trying to develop. Ensure that every exercise you can do can facilitate 80% of your effort. If it's 50% effort, it doesn't count, it's just a warm-up set. Range of motion. Having an awareness of the range of motion of the joint will ensure that you understand the lengthening and shortening of the fibres. Muscle contractions. There's 3 of them. So why don't you train them all every session and have an awareness of which ones you're training? Like I said earlier on, eccentric muscle contractions damage the muscles more than the other 2. So you will get more growth, more improvements in strength from training eccentric muscle contractions. And the direction of the muscle fibres. If you don't feel a certain exercise optimally, just refer back to the direction of the muscle fibers, because that will then give you a guide. The direction of the muscle fibers is the pathway in which you should be following to either lengthen or shorten the muscle optimally. So my promise at the start of the video was to give you an educational lecture in order to equip you with powerful concepts, bring them to life, so that you can plan and execute extremely productive training sessions. For those of you who do like this stuff, do appreciate this stuff, but your brain capacity is full from all the education that you do, all the teaching that you do, your family life, and you simply just want to be told exactly what you need to do, and you don't care about the whys, you don't care about the education. Well, gentlemen, jump on the links on my channel. If you want to work with me and that's how you want me to operate to best serve you, then that is something that I can do. However, everybody else that absolutely loves this educational content that doesn't have any adverts, then see you tomorrow.